and welcome to Every Season Counts, the podcast.
The place where we're going to have fun and raw chats about all things faith and life.
So pull up a pew, grab a coffee, it's going to be so much fun.
Hello and welcome back to Every Season Counts, the podcast. How are you doing, guys?
So good, thanks.
Feeling funky fresh.
I've had a very busy weekend
Planning.
a hen do.
Oh,
Have you? For who?
Lydia Blanco.
oh gosh.
Guys, it's Lydia's hen do next weekend and it's going to be off the charts.
Crazy.
Crazy.
You're not ready, Lids.
I have no idea what's happening.
Are you excited or nervous?
Probably I'm 90% excited, 10% nervous, because I literally know nothing. I don't know where we're going.
If I pull this off as a secret as well, though, this is a big thing for me. I can't keep secrets. I'm awful.
it's true.
You're not great.
And so the fact that I have been able to keep none of it,
all of it.
yeah, reveal none of it,
Oh,
touch
okay.
wood. Yeah, it's a miracle.
It's a big
It's
deal.
a literal miracle. I mean, we've still got a week, so could go downhill.
We'll see.
But I just haven't let anyone speak about it in front of Lydia.
I literally know nothing.
The word hen do, and I just start going, don't talk about it.
You actually
Really
do. As soon as
stressing
it comes up, Mads literally just runs away and she's like, I can't do this.
because I just know I'll slip and just start
Yeah.
revealing the entire thing.
No,
And
it's fair.
But anyway,
Yeah.
Lid's going to have a great time.
it's gonna be so fun.
Yeah. So
And
Maddie's
Toby's been on his
downhill.
stag this
Yeah,
weekend.
Toby
hasn't
went
he?
on his stag do.
Seemed fun. He got food poisoning the first night. So
Poor boy.
that went ideal.
Felt rough as heck the second day.
Hopefully ours will be a
Bless
bit
him.
better than that.
Yeah, I'm
Definitely
sure it'll
will
be
be.
fun. I'm sure it'll be fun.
Not that there's any
Yeah.
competition, Mads.
Definitely will be.
Yeah, so Mads has planned it all.
We'll unpack how it goes next week, but I need to stop talking about it because I'm scared I'm going to reveal something. We'll tell you all about it
That's
afterwards.
enough.
But
Moving on.
for now, you're not getting a peep, okay?
So guys, this morning we went to church together.
We
We did.
Lydia
Yeah.
was doing worship.
Oh
and it
my
was
gosh.
So
It was.
good.
Thanks,
Seriously, it was
guys.
too much for my heart. I just couldn't look at her without crying. So I just had to keep my eyes
Sang
shut.
so beautifully.
Oh, thank
If you want to see it on live stream, it's at
Bridge Church UK.
Oh gosh, give it a
18th
shout.
of June stream. Look it up. And if you want, you can have a look at the camera quality because Miguel was on cameras for the first time.
She was.
You
And
smashed
she did
it.
so well. She was on her little podium with her headset on and she looked so professional. It's called taking time for what you've been asked to serve in.
It
So
was
well
really
done.
good
No,
morning.
It was good. Something that we, when we were planning the series that we spoke about, was talking about our relationship with God and how practically we can do that, but also personally how we find it at times. And so we're going to have a little chat about that today.
Can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to
It's
be
going to be
good.
so good.
Yeah. What do you guys think are your ways of connecting with God and building your personal relationship with Him?
Something that I think this year has just been so practical for me to do is setting aside my morning like just for God and just to get into my Bible. And so getting up early. I used to not be a morning person at all, but now through this discipline I literally love my mornings. Like it's my favourite part of the day. If I don't get it, I get really I'm just not in a good place. Just getting up early before anyone else. Just going and sitting and waiting to just giving God space to speak, just giving Him like complete attention, of like my complete attention, and then just like going into the Word, writing down anything that sticks out, and just like really really pressing into that intimacy with God, and just giving Him my attention and my time, because I think it's so easy to just not do that.
Yeah.
What sort of change do you think that's brought for you?
Oh my days, literally everything. Like everything. I heard an analogy, this kind of analogy about it, and it's so true. But it's when you're younger, and I definitely did this, when you wake up, or like say your parents are waking you up or something, and you come downstairs. I mean, I'm talking like when you're a child, so like when you're like under 7. And like your dad is already awake and you go and curl up on his lap and you're really sleepy and you're just like, and he's like, oh, what did you dream about? And like, I don't know, like you're still in that really snuggly, like headspace and just like
Yeah.
still a bit fuzzily. Or even, when your dad comes and sits on the edge of your bed to wake you up and is just so calm and like, you just curl up on his lap and just chat to him. That is like what it's like. It's like waking up and just, because I think when I first started to really put it into practice, I'd feel really guilty that I felt really tired because I'd just woken up and be like, sorry God, like I'm just a bit fuzzy still. But like that's exactly what God wants, is us to like just go and curl up on his lap in our pajamas and just be like let him open our day, let him be the first voice we hear before anyone else or anything else. And it's been so nice, like as it's been summer, to go outside, like just go sit outside. Like it's so nice. I genuinely live for my like hour before just life, work, friends, everything. Just get a little coffee. And I honestly
So nice.
It has just changed everything of like sorry, I haven't even answered your question, Beth. I think just changed, like I remember the point in which I really started to push it into like my daily rhythms was I listened to a Jonathan Helser podcast, who is a personal fave, and he was saying that we shouldn't work for rest, we should work from it, and we shouldn't work to hear the voice of God, but work from hearing the voice of God. And so I was like, I want to start my day and then for the rest of the day to play out from the time I've spent with God, instead of being like, oh, just 12 more hours and I get to be back in my morning time with God. Like I am like that, but I can be like, no, I've grounded myself in the word, I've grounded myself in his voice, and now whatever I face within today, like I think I can just be a little bit more like less scatty or like less impulsive.
That's
So
really good.
it just allows me to work from that intimacy.
That's so good.
What about you guys?
I think for me, I'm really bad at just sitting still in the morning, and that's something that when I see you doing it, Mads, I'm like, oh, I wish I could do that. I wish I could just sit and like read and do all this kind of thing. But I think for me, I like to start my day by just having a conversation with God, as if he's like literally a person in the room with me. I literally will just speak out a conversation with God. But something that recently I've been doing, and this is because Toby said it to me, he's like, let God have the first word.
That's really good.
Because you can just wake up, you're like, right, I want to do this today, and I would love you to bless this today, and God, it would be really nice if this goes well, and blah blah blah, all this stuff. But actually, if you just sit and let Jesus speak first, it just changes everything that you would say back to him, because hearing what he has to say before anything else just completely shifts the focus off of yourself and onto him. So I think for me, I'm just constantly in conversation with him, but more recently I'm trying to let him have the first word, and that might mean that I'm sat in my bed just waiting, like twiddling my thumbs, like, but actually it's teaching me to listen. And to begin with, it has felt a bit weird because you're like, right, come on then, got to get on with my day. But actually, once you practice it, it's a beautiful thing to let him have the first word.
So true. That's so good. Yeah. I don't know. I think like when it comes to like morning routines, I feel like one thing I really feel like I lack, and I think it comes from just I'm training to be a nurse, and I think there's just no consistency in your mornings whatsoever. Like some mornings I'm up at 5 a.m. and then driving straight away. Other mornings I have time. Like there's no day looks the same in that way. Like I don't start work at the same time. And so I think I found it really hard to just implement like I'm going to get up at this time and then I'm going to read. And I would love that. And I think that's something that I really want but can't necessarily implement at the moment unless I want to wake up at 4 a.m, which for me, I just don't think would be wise because I have to go and do a 13-hour shift after that. So I think I've been just really trying to find like new ways. I think one of them has just been like, especially when I'm driving to work or in the mornings whilst I'm just getting ready, is just trying to be quiet, like not necessarily playing music. Because I think sometimes, even if it's worship music and that is beautiful and it's great, and even if it's not, music's so good, but it can fill your mind just with kind of clutter, really. Like, even if the music's about God, it's so good, but it's taking away from what you could be thinking about yourself. And so I think just really, kind of like Lyd was saying, is just trying to have this like conversational prayer. But the book I'm reading at the moment, which Mads is obsessed with, Praying Like Monks, Living Like Fools.
It's literally the best book.
It's such a good book
that I've ever read that's not the Bible.
It's so good. But I've just read a bit that was saying about how basically we've become really used to praying in a language that is not how we speak.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, really just like speaks to God like he's some real faraway being that we can never get to or can never be close to.
Yeah.
You never speak to your best mates like that. Like, you know, in this language that some people call like Christianese that you just don't understand if you don't come to church. And he was saying like that is making God further away from us in our minds, because we're not speaking to him like he is just there, which he is. And so I've really just been trying to challenge myself to be like, oh, good morning, God. Like, thank you for waking me up. Like, please put me in the right places with the right people today, like just as you would with your friends, like that kind of conversation. And I think also just regularly trying to put in a Sabbath.
Come on.
Like, life is so busy and it's like quite relentless at times. And no, relentless? Unrelentless? I don't know which one it is. Relentless. And I sometimes literally look at my week and I feel a little bit overwhelmed. Like, I'm becoming more introverted, guys. I just am. Because I look at my week and I'm like, excuse me, when am I going to have time on my own? And so I've literally been really trying to be like, this day is my Sabbath day. To one, spend time on my own, because it's good and healthy to do that. But two, to be like, God, this is your day. Like, let's not have plans. Like, I'll wake up when I wake up. And then I'll read my Bible for as long as I want to read my Bible. Maybe play my guitar that I'm not very good at, but is fun. And you get to sing and worship God and have a bath and like just do all of these things that like you don't get to do on a normal day to day because it's just packed.
Yeah.
So I think that has really helped me so much as well, because I genuinely every week look forward to that day.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just waiting for it to come.
Yeah.
So yeah, probably that.
So good. Yeah, I think, and like one thing that, and like Beth's already mentioned it, but in this book that I will literally read again and again for the rest of my life because it's so good, by Tyler Staton, he speaks about, it's towards the end of the book, and he speaks about how to have a rich relationship with God is to basically waste time with him, which sounds so stupid, but actually if you think about it, like friendship, if you think about it rationally, it's just wasting time with each other. Like, us sat right now, this is a waste of time, really. Like, just
could
sitting, having a drink. Yeah. When you go on holiday with someone, like if you go on holiday with your best mate, you literally sit by a pool and just drink sangria all day, every day.
Great days.
And yet that is gonna nurture your friendship. You're gonna be like, you do that with the people that you're rich in friendship with. And so like, it's like that question that people ask of like, oh, what, like to that couple who've been married for 60 years, like what's the secret? I genuinely think that like one of the secrets to like a long lasting relationship with God is to just waste time with him. Go for a walk and just chat to him. And again, like Beth said, not thou shalt love you, Lord, but just being like, just do you know what, mate? This is really annoyed me, and like speak to God about it. And
because he loves that.
He loves it, literally loves it, and like wants to hear
the whole Psalms is that.
Literally.
It's one spectrum, like it's one very big spectrum of either David's like, yes, God, love you so much, or he's like, I'm gonna kill all my enemies.
Yeah, literally. Like, and it's so beautiful. And like on that with the Psalms are so profound in the sense of like, I've been reading Leviticus recently. Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh.
And I was I'd never read it before, and I was kind of dreading it, I can't lie, but I was like, it's like one of the only books that I've like never read from the Bible, and I was like, stupid that I haven't read it. And I actually have learnt a lot from it, and not in terms of the wording, but more just the contrast between the old covenant and the new covenant. And within that, have thought about the fact that the Psalms were written or they're in the Bible, they're in the Old Covenant, during the Old Covenant. And how profound that must have been to people who didn't, at the time, couldn't speak to the Holy Spirit unless you're a priest. And
understand relationship with God.
Yeah, and I just literally, it blows my mind. David, bruh, what a legend. He just
paving the way.
Changed the game completely.
So true.
Of just, the profoundness of what he would have done for those people. They would have been like, mate, what are you talking about? You can't speak to God like this. Who do you think you are?
Yeah.
And yet we look at David and we're literally one of the most faithful servants of the Lord to ever have been, especially in the Bible. And so just go waste time with him. Go and sit and seem crazy. In the Bible it says you should sound they seemed intoxicated, they seemed drunk. Go seem drunk. And I think one of the things that don't actually be drunk, you can see me. One of the things that God's really been teaching me about recently is literally any question I ever have to God, being how can I be more blank? How can I be more closer to you, God? How can I give you more glory? How can I be more disciplined? How can I not fall into that, etc, etc. Literally the answer to every single one is fiercely abandon yourself. And if you if you're a friend of mine, you'll recently I just keep saying that phrase, fiercely abandon. Just fierce abandonment is the answer. But it's so true of this so and I think one of you guys have literally just said it before, Liz, you said it about your get the attention off of me and on to God. And I listened to a sermon yesterday, which I basically have been gassing up so hard to Lyd and Beth, and they were like, if you have some part of it, you can say it, but they basically didn't want to hear about it because they wanted to listen to it. But they were like, unless you have to bring a piece in, and I think part of it I do want to read. Sorry, Beth.
No apologies needed.
Basically, I listened to this sermon last night, and it literally blew my entire mind. It was late at night and I was like, I can't go to sleep, this is nuts. And I'm going to try and keep this really short because he says it in a long time, but basically in Genesis 3 during the fall, it says about how Genesis 3:6, she saw that the fruit of the tree was good for food and pleasing to the eye. So she saw that the fruit was good. But then it says in verse 7 that when they ate it, their eyes were both opened and they realised that they were naked. And so in the sermon, it's by a guy called Peter Lewis from Upper Room in Dallas, which is a church. Highly recommend their sermons and stuff. But he was saying about how for her to, even though she saw the fruit, but then her eyes were open after eating the fruit, that there had to be a level of blindness, and that the first thing that they realised was that they were naked. And in previous part of Genesis, it obviously is God says unless you eat from this tree in which you will die. And so they don't actually die, but they see their nakedness. And Peter was just saying in the sermon that our death is our own self-awareness. And literally I got chills when he said that, but us looking inwardly at ourselves kills the purpose that God gave us.
Goosebumps.
Yeah, I know. And I was literally, when he said it, I was like, oh my days.
Yeah.
Go and watch the thing.
I'm excited.
He speaks about even more profound stuff, and it's so good. Literally, I want to just give the guy a big hug. It's literally insane.
I'm excited.
But and just how our own, we just need to fiercely abandon ourselves. Yeah. Because as soon as we look at ourselves, as soon as we in worship and what do I look like? Yeah. You literally just kill any fruit of what you and the relationship that you're creating with God in that moment. Yeah. And so just go on, Beth.
Well, I think really quickly on that, it's so interesting because what you're saying about the Bible and stuff, something that has been such a theme of my life recently, is actually recognizing like the insane fact that we have the Bible.
Yeah.
Like, what in the world? Literally, like you said, you know, yes, it's fierce abandonment, but every answer is in the Bible that we're looking for.
Yeah.
Like, anything. Even if it doesn't, like, explicitly say the words, it is in there. And I think, because when you were just saying about, like, looking inside and stuff, like, I was just really reminded of, like, whenever you're feeling, like, anxious or insecure or whatever it is, like, it's because you're looking right inside of yourself and you're being like, how am I feeling right now? Which isn't a bad thing. Like, be aware of how you're feeling. That's good.
For sure. Yeah.
But it's what you do with it.
Yeah.
And I think my go-to is to just sit and wallow, which I wouldn't personally recommend to a friend. But, like, I think there's this thing of, like, going to the Bible and being like I heard yesterday, they were saying, take every thought captive. Like, it's not, like, there's no reason for you to be living in that. There actually isn't. Like, we have complete freedom from that, but I think we choose sometimes. It's easier sometimes 100%. To sit in it and to feel it. It is for me anyway. But my mentor once said to me, probably about 5 years ago now, but I've never forgotten it, is like, how can you fight the lies of your mind if you don't know the truth? Like, if you're not, like, daily equipping yourself with, like, actually, what does God say about me? And, like, what am I called to? What's the whole point of me being here? Because I think so much of it comes down to purpose as well. Like, whether you've got a busy day or not, you've still got stuff to be doing.
Yeah.
And if you're not literally just saturating yourself in that, then the enemy is like, sick. Let me tell you what I think about you instead.
Yeah.
And then we're like, oh yeah, do you know what, actually that's so true. Which makes absolutely no sense, because tell me why we're ignoring God, but listen to the enemy. But that's on being a human. But yeah, I don't know, I just think the Bible's actually mad, isn't it? And like, people risk their lives to be reading it, and we've just got like 4 of them in our bedside table that we like sometimes fancy picking up. It's kind of mad, isn't it?
I think on that as well, quickly, sorry, I know I've been speaking loads, but like what you're saying with the, like, God has given us the gift of the Bible. And I heard someone once say that the devil can't actually take away something that he didn't give you. And so, in the sense of, like, God gave us the Bible, God gave us his whisper of the Holy Spirit, God gave us his resurrection and, like, the breaking of bread and his body and just, like, the new covenant. That cannot be taken away from us. And so if you are in the word, if you are, like, really, like you're saying, just integrating yourself into the word, the devil actually can't take you away. Like, he can't take that away from you. That's like a out of bounds zone for the enemy. And so like, it's a superpower. Get so in on that.
Yeah. I think what you were saying, Beth, about, like, knowing what the truth is against what isn't true when you're listening to your thoughts, you know, like, feeling low about the way you look or what you're doing or anything like that. I think that the more you build to have a relationship with God, the less likely you are to listen to those lies, because you know fully what is true. And something that I heard the other day that Grace, your mentor, Maddie, actually said was, she was speaking somewhere and I was watching, and she said, she was talking about having a phone call with her husband, and she said, 20 years ago, when I didn't really know him, if he rang me on a random number and said hello, I wouldn't recognize his voice. But now that we are married and we have a kid, and it's years and years later, he could phone me at anywhere in the world with any random number, and the second he says hello, I'll know that it's him.
That's so good.
And it's having that relationship to know God's voice over everything else. And once you have that, any lies you can just push away, and you're like, no, I know that's not true. I know that God doesn't see me like that. And so I think the more we build in our relationship with him, the easier it gets to push away those lies and not take them
1,000%.
onto ourselves.
So good.
Yeah.
I think verbalizing how you're feeling as well in those times of, like, because like Beth has said, like you can just get so caught up in your own head. And like I know there's definitely been times, and this kind of relates back to what we spoke about last week in friendship, but where you like your friend does something that like they just do something like, I don't know, going out with another friend, like they're going out with a mutual friend of yours or something, and if you keep that in your head of like, oh, like that's a bit weird that they're like haven't invited me, if you don't verbalize that or speak truth over it from Jesus, it literally snowballs so hard. Like I remember this one time this happened with Beth, because me and Beth used to live together. And I started crying. I was hiding in a cupboard crying
That's so
at our
sad.
old work. No, it's fine, because, it is fine.
No, it's fine.
There's a good part to the story.
Love that cupboard.
And Beth came in and was like, what are you doing? Why are you crying? And I started to verbalise how I felt. And as I said it, I was like, Mads, are you crazy? That's so stupid that you've taken what was said and have ended up at this conclusion. And like, in that time of like, an example of your mate going out with a mutual friend, it can go from, oh, that's kind of funny that they're going out, to, oh, they hate me.
Yeah.
And they actually, they're just gonna be talking smack about me the whole time. Like they hate me.
Are they actually my friends?
Have I just got this wrong the whole time? Like they've despised me this whole time, and I just haven't realised, and now I've suddenly realised. And that, like, we laugh, but that genuinely that has happened to me.
Yeah.
And then I start to you start to verbalise it, and then you're
so
like,
true.
Are you all right? How have you ended up at that conclusion? And like, and like the devil just looks and is like, lol, I got you there.
Yeah.
And then like, it makes me so mad.
And that's why you need those people, like your family or your friends. It was a 5-minute call. Just be like, let me just get this off my chest.
Yeah.
And they can be like, that is a load of rubbish, babes.
Yeah.
You are speaking absolute rubbish. Like, what's happened here is your friends have just gone out for a coffee.
Yeah.
They don't hate you. And they're not like planning to leave you or whatever. Like, that is a lie.
Yeah.
And you just sometimes need people to be like, enough.
Yeah.
100%. But also God can do that for you. And you can be like, like whether you either like speak to friends and they speak Jesus into that, but you can also be like, God, why is that happening? And he'll be like, honey, that's a load of rubbish.
Rubbish.
They love you. And again, the more you spend time with him, the more you'll know his voice, and so you'll be like,
so good.
Yeah, that's you chatting God, and whatever the enemy's saying, no, that's not my Lord and Saviour.
Yeah.
Yeah. So talking about just generally having a relationship with God is great, but when we're going through those really difficult seasons, like really difficult seasons, how do you continue what you just do on a regular day?
Well, I think the key is that it's not a regular day. Like when you are in those times, like I'm like, yes, when it's just one of those bad days, but also when you are literally going through it, and like every day is like a flipping uphill battle. Like they aren't your regular days, and so it's okay for it to look different. Because I think sometimes when I've been in those places and I've tried to replicate exactly what I do when I'm, on those mountaintop moments, I'm just like, I am exhausted. Like I can't do this. And I think it sometimes does the opposite for me. Maybe different for other people, and so I think in those times, first of all, I'll pray about it and I'll be like, God, just give me something that I can do here. Even if it's just lying down in a room quietly and just having no noise. And actually, just like Mads was saying way back, is like being just in a posture that you are able to hear the voice of God. Because in those moments, like life is so loud and like your brain gets so loud when things are really tricky. But just lying silently, silence and solitude, I think like constantly is a thing that I come back to, because I don't always have the energy. Like when I'm struggling, I really just find it hard to do anything.
Yeah.
And so I think just sometimes lying down, like God is like, yeah, thank you for this. Like, thank you for including me in this. Yeah. Instead of putting on a Friends episode to avoid how you feel again.
A bit close to
Never
comfort
done that.
there,
Yeah, I don't know.
100%.
Yeah. And I think in those moments, I don't know about you guys, but sometimes we forget that God actually knows completely how you're feeling. he knows if it's a struggle for you, and he's a kind God. He's not going to be like, right, why aren't you sat down reading your Bible for, you know, your morning routine kind of thing. Like, if you're having those really hard times, it's about making sure that you're being kind to yourself. And yeah, like you said, just doing the little things you can do.
Yeah. But I think also just on that is like, there is so much grace for if things, you come out of a season or a time and you're like, oh flip, like actually God really has not been in the centre there for me at all. Like, you know, it's okay. Like, there's so much grace for that. And as soon as we turn back, God is like, yeah, great, I'm right here. Like, always have been anyway. But the tiny little things that you can do just to invite God into the moment makes the biggest of differences in the long run.
Yeah, I think those times as well, like in those seasons of just being like, this is the last thing I want to do is sit and read my Bible or like worship or whatever. I think it's those points that it's so important that you focus more on the posture in which you're doing stuff versus what you're actually doing, of like that rigid routine of like, I will read 3.4 verses and then I will pray for 0.3 minutes, etc. But like being like you said, like, I really can't read my Bible right now, but I'm going to take up the posture for 1 minute of just being like, I'm going to read one verse.
Yeah.
And that is all I'm going to do. And my posture is still like, not my posture is still towards God, but like, I think keeping that discipline, but it's like the posture of the discipline instead of like scolding yourself for not spending 40 minutes and hearing 5 things that God has said to you, but just almost like, and like Lyd said, God sees you. Like the fact that you even consider him in that moment he's like, wow, thank you. And I think there just is so much grace and again, it's taking that posture that David did in Psalms of like, instead of being like, God, I'm actually really struggling, and you don't get that, so I'm just going to put like, I remember like God once gave me this picture of being in a room with God and just being like, yes, God, glory to you, like, yes, thank you, Father, and then thinking that when he's not looking, running into a closet and like crying for like, I mean, like, my life sucks and I'm getting persecuted and I don't have enough money to live and all these struggles, and then just whipping back out of that closet and being so like, yeah, true. God, glory to you. Like, no, he literally wants, like, he wants to sit, like those times where we're crying and being like, my life feels so purposeless right now. I have nothing to give, is where God just gets out of a camping chair and sits and it's like,
so true,
let's sit here for a while together. And like you said, like, I think relationship with God isn't always pushing into him, but when you have pushed into him and know his touch, when he pushes back and pours into us, there'll be times where we have nothing, but he just naturally pours into us of like, we don't even feel it, but he just actually is.
Because the relationship's there.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think it's so, not funny, but interesting, because I had a kind of like similar picture in the way of like, it was a while ago now, but I was having like I was in like a really challenging moment. And I had this picture of like, it was when I was reading Revelations actually, which Revelations 4 has kind of become my favourite chapter of the Bible, which I never thought I'd say because I was flipping scared of it until about a year ago. But the image was like, I was like walking into the throne room and like it was all there, you know, the whole shebang, all the living creatures, the angels,
the many-eyed creatures.
Yeah, all of those. And I was like walking towards God's throne, but kind of like strutting, but feeling like the deepest pain inside. And like I got to like halfway through the room and then just collapsed. But like God didn't just stay there. Like he came off his throne and was like, let me carry you the rest of the way.
Come on.
Like, and so I just think, I don't know where I'm going with that. But kind of just saying like what Mads was just saying really is that when we don't need to give like a cheerful outside to God.
No.
He already knows what's up. He knows before you even walk into the room. He already knows he's going to have to come pick you up. So, yeah, just go to him boldly and let him know.
Yeah.
Some of the Psalms, I think, like David is like in such a crisis that you almost cringe at what he's like just saying to God. You're like, bro, you express that to God, like, okay,
smack down all my enemies.
And he's like, I hate them and I want to do this, and he just basically has a full-on hissy fit in front of God, with God. But like, that's exactly what we should be doing. Like, we're
all having them anyway, whether we take it to God or not.
We're just doing it in secret.
I think also, like, if you're going through a really hard season, really hard day, like, it's just understanding that God has placed people in your life for a reason, and when you feel like you can't face it yourself, there are people there that will support you. And just if you feel like you're in a position where you feel really let down or really disappointed in God, and you feel like you can't turn to him in that moment, turn to the people around you and they will help you turn to him.
Come on. So good.
I feel like that's something that really I became very aware of. I went through a really tough time and I was just like, I can't worship right now, I can't pray, I don't want to read the Bible, like nothing like that, because it was just such a hard thing to go through. But I just turned to my side and there's all these people around me and they're like, we're going to help you worship, we're going to help you pray. So I think it's just realizing that there are people in your life for a reason and for a purpose.
Isn't it? That's literally Moses, isn't it? That happens to, with when he's holding his hands up, he's holding the staff up. Somewhere in the Old Testament, Moses is holding up a staff for whatever reason, I can't remember right now, but his arms get really tired, and when he's about to, because he has to hold it up, I think, and when his arms get really tired, his two friends come alongside him and hold his arms up for him. And guys, really good. I just can't remember the details right now, but I think that is that exact picture of like when you can't hold your hands up anymore, that's the whole reason of community. Like good. They come and hold your arms up for you until you're able to hold them up again. Come on. So
that's so good.
I need to find that. Sorry if I've said that wrong for any of the really, the in-depth story.
Bible nerd.
That's what I was going to say, but didn't want to be savage.
You're a nerd.
Good to be a Bible nerd,
we
though.
Love you,
best
Bible
kind nerds.
Of nerd. We need you.
We do.
No, that's so good. Does anyone, as we kind of close, have any just like quick tips that you would give people who are trying to build on their relationship with God?
Invite people into the journey.
Come on.
Like people who are, either physically older than you or older in their journey with Jesus. Get them alongside you. Let them encourage you and help you and show you. And also, just take the time. Like, God has got all the time in the world for you. And so you just need to offer him as much as you can of each day. Even if it's just, you start and it's literally one verse. Start there. And it's the only way is up.
So good. I think my practical tip would be very similar in just if you want to start carving out intentional time daily for God and like just to sit in his presence, like you don't need to start at 40 minutes of just complete utter silence, but start at like literally 1 minute a day when you wake up, just being like, God, this 1 minute is completely for you. I have nothing, like take out anything else from my mind. Like, and even like not even to like hear anything specific, like not to even hear his voice, but just to give him that time, give him that glory of like, you're an important part of my life, and so I carve out this time for you, and then just build on it of like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, etc. Lydia, give us some gold.
I just think that if you're either coming back to a place of having a relationship with God or you're just starting out, I think it's really important to not compare yourself to someone who's been in a relationship with God for years and years and not think, okay, they sit down and study the Bible for hours a day, but actually just think, no, it's okay that I'm not there yet. It's okay that if I find studying the Bible a little hard, but I'm actually really good at praying. It's okay if you really enjoy listening to worship, but aren't actually in a place where you love to pray right now. So I think it's very important to not compare yourself to your Christian friends around you, and just take it step by step and build up on things as you need to and as you feel is right for you.
Yeah. What a beautiful conversation.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed that.
Yeah, it was fun.
I feel like I'm ready for a nap now.
Do you know
after like
now, I was like,
just yeah, that was good.
I need a massage. Someone want to give me a massage?
Yeah. We look forward to chatting to you guys next week.
It's our final episode of this series, isn't it?
Yeah,
before the Q&A, of course.
Speaking of, send in your questions, guys.
Yes,
We'd love to hear from you.
What do you want to
Just slide into the DMs. Every season counts.
Honestly, ask us anything. We would love to talk to you about relationships from whatever you want to get out of it.
Yes.
We'll give it a good go.
Yeah. See you next week, guys.
We can't wait to tell you all about the hen do.
Oh
yeah.
We'll see how that goes.
It's going to be crazy, guys.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Have the best week, everyone.
Yes.
Much love. Speak to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.